and explanations that will change your world. Welcome back. It's your boy TalliWoe, and I'm not going to hold you up. Let's get into some videos.
If you get invited to a Diddy party, you don't go.
That's just one person in the music industry. Imagine the film industry, pro sports industry, corporate oil industry, big tobacco industry. You name the industry. The rule of thumb at CIA is that every time you catch a mole, you have to assume there's two more. So when you catch a mole, a penetration inside your agency, when you catch a Robert Hansen, an Aldrich Ames, a Jerry Lee, you have to assume there's at least two more. Because the one that you got in, the one that was there, is the one that you caught. And the one that you caught, whoever's handling them is running at least two so that they can always have informants about the other. So if we caught one from the music industry, there's probably two more. Rich people are connected to other rich people. They have rich people problems, which average people can't even fucking conceptualize. And to your government intelligence services, why would you talk to a normal fucking person when you could always get your ass in front of a politician, a famous musician, an actor? It's not hard to get in front of one of those people when you are an intelligence officer. And those people are guaranteed to have access to information that can be useful in your own endeavors to collect and manipulate and influence foreign countries, foreign elections, foreign media.
So before I give my insight, that was Andrew Bustamante, former CIA, certified and confirmed, and he's 100% right. You have to be educated on social engineering to understand what actually goes into play when it comes to mass manipulation, period. On top of that, when it comes to hiding secrets that, implicate people that control the flow of the money around here, you have to be privy to that and educated on how that thing goes before you can have an opinion that matters at all. Most people just speak out of the side of their neck about things based on just what they think, and they don't do any studying, they don't do any paying attention to detail, they don't do any pattern recognition to understand what he's even talking about.
All the things I've been saying about the NFL, that is rigged. Talking about the Hunt family, knee deep in the assassination of JFK, that the NFL is gay. Have I said this in a tweet like August 2020? All of a sudden they want to award me a special presentation. Just like how Franco Harris did a special interview before he was killed. This is how they get you. You former football players, they get you to show up at interviews. They get you to show up at presentations. And if you don't understand the numerology of anything, this is how they can get you and trap you. I would have gone and wouldn't know. And they could have easily put me in a predicament. I could have been at the bar. I could have been drinking. They could have came to my hotel. Any situation that would have fit my natural foolishness, which means either been drinking or been to fight with a woman. That would be the only thing they would catch me with, and they would tell you this is how I felt. He died from alcohol poisoning, or he died fighting. And people would have believed it. If I went to that show and y'all would have heard that I got killed, and you would have told you I died by alcohol poisoning or something like that, most of you would have believed it, because you know that's usually what I've been in trouble for. This is how they get you. It's kind of comical, because once you understand numerology and gematria and they use the same numbers over and over and over again, it becomes pattern recognition, okay? I've seen a lot of football players die and it be because of numerology. I've seen a lot of celebrities die and it be because of numerology. And it's always when they're by themselves, they're found dead in a hotel, or some craziness that they attach it to. And no one can know what's the real truth, because they're really that slick with it if you don't have your eyes open. So it's funny to me that these people do not like me. They do not like me around when I was there. When I was in the world, they didn't want me around. So all of a sudden, they're going to give me a presentation after me saying football been rigged, after me saying their family did everything they did, all this stuff I've been talking that smoke, and they want to invite me into an award show to give me a special award for something.
RIP to Ryan Mallett and Alex Collins.
That's slavery. That's slavery. You took away the whips, but you put the paperwork. Took away the masters and you put them in uniform. Same difference. Same difference.
It appears that there is a coordinated system in order to protect the labor that's created by the prison system.
Walk into a McDonald's in Alabama, and the worker flipping your McDouble could be an incarcerated person.
It's a sad situation of where they getting rich off of us.
The Alabama Department of Corrections farms out incarcerated people to work at hundreds of private companies and government agencies across the state.
I work for y'all, but when I come up for parole, you deny me. Why would you deny me? Because you're getting free service.
This is a story about corporations and the state of Alabama exploiting prison labor and the coercive policies they use to keep its citizens trapped in servitude.
I had already suspected that this was happening, but I didn't understand, or I didn't have the knowledge that I do now to see that it was actually being put into play. Now, I have two contrasting opinions on this. So the first one is, if you're a criminal who's 100% guilty of a crime, and it's a pretty serious crime, I don't have the empathy to care about what you're going through while receiving the repercussions of your actions. 2, there is a limit to that. Always. You don't give someone a punishment that overdoes the crime that they committed to receive that punishment. Stealing a candy bar from a gas station doesn't get you the death penalty. Fighting at school shouldn't get you 25 years to life in prison unless someone died. So when you do things like this to capitalize on someone's situation and then keep them in that situation, which we already know the systemic oppression that goes on inside of the prison system. When you do stuff like that, you are being what is called overbearing. You're over punishing someone for the crime that they committed. And that's just as wrong as the crime that they committed at that point. To profit off of someone longer than what you know that they deserve, because it says it in some kind of book that was full of rules and laws and punishments that were agreed upon by people just to capitalize off that same situation, you're not escaping any kind of karma from that. 1. 2, you will have to answer to God whether you believe in him or not. That's just how I see it.
Like you could fit the whole population of the world in the United States. They're saying you could fit them in Texas or Alaska.
Standing shoulder to shoulder, the entire world's population could fit within 500 square miles
of Los Angeles.
Of Los Angeles.
What? When I first started flying, I would always just look out the plane and go, it's empty. I go, we should all have a plot of land. When you fly across the United States, dude, there's only people in LA, New York, Miami, and San Francisco. Everything else is empty, dude. That means this overpopulation bullshit is a myth.
I will agree with him 40% of the way. When it comes to resources, when it comes to the number of people that exist, and if you actually did the math on what a person needs to keep themselves at the nutritional necessity of, being fully healthy, things like that, we're over consuming. I mean, climate change and all of the negative natural effects and consequences of what we're doing is clear at this point. Now, whether that's because of too many people existing or too many people existing in the same place, that's something I don't have the resources to do the research on. But what I do know is it's all part of the board game, in my opinion. You know what I mean? In order for a place to thrive, it has to have the people to do the work, and it has to have the necessity for the things that we consume. Now, if you have a consumer-based society, all you're doing is funneling and pigeonholing people into occupying the same space, and then you have them fight over that space by raising the price of all the necessities inside of that area, whether it's groceries, gas, residents, what have you. When you know everybody wants to live there and you use that to capitalize off of it and raise the price and gentrify and only pull around the people that are making the money so you can take more from them, and you don't care about the people that can't make that much because there's not enough opportunity there, you know what you're doing. So let's stop pretending that you don't. A good person takes what is at play, what they've learned, everything that they know, and they use it to help people. Bottom line. You know what's funny to me is I have a lot of pen pals that are from everywhere in the world, and the contrast of how they talk about how people of my culture are accepted when we travel to places like that versus what people that reside in my country say about racism and where it exists. It's a very opposing idea. Like, people that are here, they say, oh, racism exists no matter where you go. Well, here's the thing with that. That's true. In every place you find, you're going to find someone that will blame all the problems that they have in their life on someone that is completely different from them. They won't use their own people as a comparison chart. They always use other people, the most different from them. But having pen pals from other countries and learning that you live in actually the most racist country that has ever existed, it's very eye-opening, because it means not only do they want you to go through what you go through in the place that you live, they don't want you to escape it. They want you to think that if you go somewhere else, you're going to go through the same thing. To the extent that they will have people that migrate to these places and are still trying to push the negative values of the place that you're from, they will go over there and wait for you to visit. Make sure to ask everybody where they're from, just in case you say, oh, I'm from this same place that you were born. They can set up that matrix again and make you think, oh, well, I just came here to have a break from this and now I'm going through it again. This is why it's so important to keep your business to yourself, to keep your social life to yourself, to not put everything on social media, to not always post when you travel. Like, I'm very protective of my mood. I'm very protective of the energy, not only that I receive, but that I put out, to the point where I have practiced keeping things to myself in order to just enjoy my time wherever I am, not telling everybody everything about me, and just enjoying what I'm there to enjoy by myself. And it's worked. You can decipher that how you will, you can interpret that how you will, but I don't tell everybody everything about me. I don't tell people why I'm where I am or what I'm doing. None of that. I protect my peace to the fullest extent.
I cannot imagine sending my kids to public school. I went to public school. It's being used as a weapon to intoxicate our children with their ideologies and their ideas and their truths. It's throwing our culture upside down. I highly, highly challenge and doubt that people that are sending their kids to public schools even really know their children. They're spending so much time away at work, separated from their kids. They come home, they do homework, they check out, they go on the computer, they're on their iPads, they go to bed and they do it again. I don't think that that's the way that we were supposed to do this.
Yeah.
When did the public school systems get implemented? And education can be an amazing tool. But the idea that we're kind of sending our kids off, expecting the world to raise them and then come back the right way.
I have a friend, his name's Dean, and he gave me kind of an analogy, because I was asking him about how he raised his daughters, and he did it as a single dad. He said, well, picture your kids like this. He said, if you put $1 billion in a clear plastic bag, where are you going to put that? You can't put it anywhere. Right next to you. That's where it goes, and that's where your kids should be.
I agree with that 100%, to the point where I'm doing everything I can to make sure that my daughter doesn't have to go to public school. As a person that went to public school, I can honestly say, if you're not who they want to succeed and to thrive in that certain community, it's going to be hell for you. People will do everything they can to keep things like they are. They will disagree. They will find the one instance that proves you wrong. They will do all of that. But Trust me when I say, as a minority or a person of color, public school is prison. It's meant to keep you down. It's meant to take away all of your motivation. It's meant to make you feel like there is nothing you can do in life except the very thing that will ruin your life. Don't believe me? Go through it. That's all I got to say. I've had my experiences. And as a person that went to public school, this is what I'm telling you. Period.
Elon Musk is the false prophet. Okay, well, I can't say I know that for sure. My goodness, is he not the top candidate right now for that position? You know, the one who wants to implant a microchip in the brains of everybody? If Bill Gates wanted to do this, people would be freaking out.
Elon said to me, he said, you're going to be able to talk without words. This technology will be some sort of an implanted device that allows you to have constant access, probably to something akin to ChatGPT and AI, along with some interconnectivity with other people that are wearing the same device. And it'll probably initially be something that translates language.
Now, what does that sound like? Revelation 13:17, and that no one will be able to buy or to sell except the one who has the mark, either the name of the beast or the number of his name. And I wonder if it's just a coincidence in timing that we have universal basic income being voted on this election. Now, I know I'm not the sharpest tool in the shed, but I'm not sure about you guys, but I can totally see if you do not take that mark, you will not get your funds and you cannot work because, I don't know, maybe the Tesla robots have taken your job. I mean, there's nothing to see here at all. Just continue to trust the richest man in the world, who I'm sure has nothing but good intentions. I mean, again, nothing to see here. There's nothing spiritual going on at all. Elon Musk is for the little guy. He cares about you. Now, I know I am not the only one connecting the dots here, feeling like you're going crazy how other Christians are falling hook, line, and sinker for this guy. And now we have Donald Trump about to launch his own crypto token on Tuesday. I mean, seriously, if Bill Gates or George Soros or Anthony Fauci wanted to put a chip in your brain and have a cryptocurrency, people would freak out. But you have Donald Trump and Elon Musk do it. The cool guys are doing it. The good guys, they're on your side. The discernment levels are non-existent in some people right now. Now, you can mock and scoff all you want, but how can you not even acknowledge that there is a typology here? An individual who is going to perform signs and wonders through technology, by the way, to then heal people with this mark or this chip in the brain. And he's also going to connect everybody together with a hive mind so that we can all speak to each other and all have one language again, like the Tower of Babel. And he has ties with a man who is very beloved by the world, who is going to bring in peace because he's a strong man and he has a peace deal in the Middle East. And he also is all for cryptocurrency and tying that all together. Hello? I feel like I'm taking crazy pills. How people cannot see what's going on. Again, the typology at the very least, the foreshadowing at the very least. But because they're cool, because they talk about freedom and they talk about liberty, that people fall for it. It's the Hegelian dialectic, guys, the problem, reaction, solution. But again, this is all my personal opinion, speculation, and a theory. What do I know? What do I know? I love you guys all so much. I'm sure that if you have eyes to see and ears to hear, you see what's going on and you are super suspicious, like this. With everything going on, like that. I see you out there. But if you think this is crazy, that's fine. I love you anyways. God bless, and remember, the just shall live by faith.
Even if you don't believe that, you should judge Elon Musk by this statement that he said himself, which is that Black students and students who go to HBCUs have lower intelligence and therefore should not ever be pilots. That's something that he said himself from his own thoughts. Period. Now, when it comes to whether he's the Antichrist or not, I don't know the things that God does. I'm not going to pretend to. I'm not going to try to do the connect the dots with the red yarn or none of that. But I pay attention, and my voice, my opinion, my ideas, my brain sees intent before it sees anything else. I can walk up to a person, I can have 3 seconds of communication with them, and I can tell what's going on with this person when it comes to what they want from me and why they're communicating from me. I don't have to prove that to anyone because I'm not trying to prove that to anyone. I use it to make my own decisions and how I maneuver my life. I'm not going to tell you how to make your decisions. I'm not going to tell you who you should vote for, who you should like, who you should accept. But I am going to maneuver my life in a way where if there are people that I disagree with, I move away from them and only away from them. I used to love Tesla. I used to pay attention to everything that was going on with SpaceX. Ever since I found out he agrees with random psychopaths on the internet that think that the Western European is the superior species, and he has all of these beliefs that are always racially divisive, there is nothing I will ever buy that is owned by Elon Musk, to the point where I don't even have Twitter anymore. So all I'm saying is, if you can be a person that wants to have some kind of imaginary step up or level up from people because you think that you deserve something that other people don't deserve simply because of what you look like or what you're made of, to me, you're a piece of shit, no matter what color you are. We are all here on the same dirt, made of the same stuff, and things like IQ, things like money, finance, all that stuff, that's all up to luck. How you're born and what you're made of, that's all up to luck. What you make and the ease of access you have to resources, that starts with luck. And some of this luck is chosen by people who think that certain people deserve to have things more than other people simply because of who they were born by and what they look like. And to me, that's a form of mental retardation, is all that is. Period.
You can open up any English Bible to this day and go to Genesis 1:26, and it'll read, "And God said, let us make man in our image after our likeness." There is plurality there. If you were to ask any theologian or whatever and be like, why is there plurality there? They would give you some cute answer like it's God talking to himself or God talking to Jesus or whatever. But that's not the truth. The reason there's plurality there is because the word that was used in the Hebrew text, the original, was not God. The word that was used was Elohim, and Elohim is a plural word meaning the powerful ones. So if you go back and read Genesis 1:26 with that in mind, now you're reading, the powerful ones said, let us make man in our image after our likeness. The powerful ones are the Anunnaki. The people who wrote the Bible, they were from the Middle East. You know, they lived in that area. They lived closer in time to the Babylonians, to ancient Sumeria and all that. So the Sumerians were their ancestors. They knew those tales by heart. You know, for example, the Sumerian Enuma Elish was reenacted every year.
The thing about history, faith, and religion is the fact that we all believe in something that we weren't around for the creation of at our point in existence. That's something that I have a problem, not a problem, but like a battle with all the time. Now, in contrast to that, I believe in my existence being because of something higher than myself. Now, I don't know how many gods exist, but I do know that something higher and more important than I am is responsible for the mind, the heart, the body, and the way that it exists that you see right now on this camera. The reason being is because I grew up in a place where people like me should never be produced, probably have never been produced. And I'm not using that to brag on myself. Like, I am somewhat, a person who sees themselves as something great, but it's not playing, a part in what I'm saying right now. My belief in a higher power in God is not based on going to church, because I haven't gone to church since I was 13. It's not based on me trying to use existentiality as, you know, my reason for being a positive person, or trying to create more peace in the world, or anything like that. I have a 100% belief in a higher power and a creator of everything that exists. And I have a real problem with people who don't. That's something I've had to realize, that, I admit to myself, is that, like, people who have the audacity to think that they exist just because of a coincidence, and like a very, 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 very nearly impossible coincidence. Like, people who try to put that much power in themselves, and, superiority in themselves, that they just are a happenstance of science. Like, those people really get to me, because knowing that there is a higher power and that they exist, and having experienced them in their existence, and then going back and seeing these people that try to have their little disbeliefs and stuff like that, it's very nerve-wracking. Like, it's like, it kind of like makes me think, like, not that I hate the person, but like, I kind of don't want to know that they exist. Like, straight up. Like, it's like, are you serious right now? You know what I mean? Like, knowing how a card trick works, and then a person trying to keep convince you that that's not what's going on, when you know exactly that's what's going on and you can reproduce it. It's the same thing as people who've had faith strong enough to where the creator has let them know that they exist, and then seeing people go around try to come up with an argument for why this person doesn't exist. It's hard to put your belief of a creator and a higher power into other people. And I think that you're given the gift of being able to witness the actual existence of a higher power, and them not being able to deserve the same experience is like very poetic, to be honest.
I think there's a real strong probability we're going to see aliens. Some people say Project Bluebeam. No. If I'm right on my hypothesis, I think that there may be a portal where that dimension is going to come into this dimension, and they have their powers. You might see your dead grandmother from 30 years ago, but it's not your dead grandmother. It's a demon shape-shifting to look like your grandmother. The demon knows how to mimic the voice, has some of the memories because they follow us. They have a longer lifespan than we do. When you go to a fortune teller that just knows shit, like there's just no way, they didn't have your phone, they didn't have your license, like they found out shit about you that there was just no way they could have known, I promise you that that fortune teller works with the demonic. Remember, they're on this earth, parallel to us. I believe, remember the story of Cain? The devil was able to shapeshift and teach him music?
Yeah.
Remember, some of the jinn, the demonic realm, have the ability to shapeshift. They follow us. They can mimic sound. They can do all, they have some of our memories.
I can believe that simply because I've had an experience, and I'm only going to share it because it correlates to the story. I think I was 12, about to turn 13, and no one else was in the house. My mom was at work. It's Stepdad was at work. Sisters were at extracurricular activities after school. Little brother was at his best friend's house, which that was coordinated with my mom. You know, she was friends with my brother's best friend's mom. So like, I was the only one that was given the freedom to just figure out what I was going to do after school, simply because I was the black sheep of my family, and you know, I am that different one. But that's beside the point. I was at home by myself. That's the bottom line. And I came from the back room, went up to the living room, and there's this closet to the right where all of our keepsakes are that my mom keeps from when we were born, you know, first pictures, all that stuff, first things we wore, like all that stuff is in this closet. I walk by this closet and I hear a whisper of my name. And wasn't a kid that did drugs, wasn't a kid that, you know, had any kind of mental health issues. You know what I mean? There was nothing in my life that was making me stress out to the point where a mental condition would trigger. I was just walking to the living room because I was about to go to my friend's house, and straight to my right, I heard a whisper of my name. I ignored it. I heard it 2 times, loud and clear, like not like it was in my head, like it sounded like somebody was in that area and they said my name, like clear as day. I ignored it because, like I said, the experiences that make me believe in God and know what his voice sounds like, that voice wasn't that voice. I ignored it, and I've never heard it ever since. But that instilled in me the belief that the devil's greatest trick is proving to the world that he didn't exist, or convincing the world that he didn't exist. That's the real quote. The devil's greatest trick is convincing the world that he didn't exist. People and deities and things that have to do everything in the dark, those are things that I automatically avoid, don't listen to, everything like that. So when this person, you know, states the things that they state, it really resonates with me, because you got to be quick on your feet. You got to be quick on your feet inside too, when it comes to dealing with all of the things you can fall into, all the traps you could fall into in this world.
If you'll indulge me, I'd like to read 2 pages from advice from the extraterrestrials. Yes, it's true that we have been in contact with your government and heads of power. It is also true that it is also true that agreements have been made and kept secret from your people. It is also true that in the past, some of your people have lost their lives or have been badly hurt to protect the secret. Our hands had no part in this. We contacted your leaders because your planet is in grave trouble. Your leaders said the vast majority of your population wasn't ready for anything like us yet. So we made time agreements with your leaders as to when your people would be made aware of our presence. Your air, your water are contaminated. Your forests, jungles, trees, and plant life are dying. There are several breaks in your food chain. You have an overwhelming amount of nuclear and biological weapons, which include nuclear and biological contamination. Your planet is overpopulated. Warning, it is almost to the point of being too late, unless your people act. There are better ways of deriving energy and food needs without causing your planet any damage. Those in power are aware of this and have the capability of putting these methods into worldwide use. Those in power view it as a military and security threat. That upset me. You mean to tell me that the people in power have the ability to save and better the planet, and they aren't doing it? Amnesty. What do you mean? Complete amnesty to those in power, governments and leaders who have been suppressing the truth. that they can't be held liable for any past wrong deeds. It is the only way these leaders can come forward with the truth. It is necessary that you do this in order to work together and survive.
So when I say I can see the intent behind how people behave and what they say, just from that, even though I believe in extraterrestrials, I'm very positive in my stance to say that that's cap. And here's why. If an extraterrestrial contacted us, in my opinion, they would be using a language that isn't exactly translatable. There may be words that translate, but entire sentences and paragraphs like that don't get translated that legible for us to go and speak. So somebody paraphrased them if the alien was real and said something, or they're using the extraterrestrial aspect and intrigue to get across a message that actually is important, but you're going about it the wrong way when you try to say the aliens told us. Because you haven't told us why we're important to them anyway. Prime example, if all spiders disappeared on Earth right now, you would have to prove to me why I would care, why I should care. Period. Now you have to prove to me why extraterrestrials would care whatever happens here on this planet that they try to hide their existence from and everything else. Like, why are we so important that they come back and bring these messages? Even though I believe that extraterrestrials are real, this is the way that my mind works and processes things. I'm not going to sit here and try to believe everything that involves them just because I believe in them. What was that? It wasn't AI. I've seen probably 15 videos from different angles of this exact same place, and I need somebody to explain to me exactly what that is and what it's used for, because right now it looks like a secret tunneled out place used for something that they don't want anybody to know. That's the only thing I can come up with the intuition. So
and it's
I just think it's weird how everybody that speaks on the existence of reptilians always have a non-human kind of look to them. As far as I'm concerned, that's what I see when I look at them. They always have this like kind of off physical stature. One more thing I'm gonna say on this. It's kind of wild to me how many people speak on this topic, and nobody is trying to fund the research into finding out if this is 100% true or not. And you can hide behind that using the excuse, this is such a fringe theory, this is only something psychopaths would believe in, this is only something concocted by the most introverted, most weird people that you can find, in order to push people away from trying to figure out if it's real or not. Same thing they did with UFOs or UAPs is what they call them now. They went on a whole smear campaign against people who said that they got abducted and everything else. And then they come on the Department of Defense comes and does disclosure and lets everybody know, oh, this stuff is actually real and we have non-human bodies in possession. Some people have the ability to put two and two together. Some people just go with what the most famous person or the person with the most money said. And that's always how life is going to go.
The reptilians were the natives of this planet. And back during the first ice age, they went underground. And that's how they ended up surviving. So the Galactic Federation knew this, that this was indeed their planet. So they made a compromise with these reptilians. And they said, okay, we recognize that this is your planet. As long as you stay here, but you're not seen, you go back underground, we'll allow you to be here. So half the reptilians left off this planet, the other half stayed. And they went back into their tunnels, they went back into inner Earth, they went back underground. And eventually the reptilians started meshing their DNA with our DNA. They started to be able to shapeshift into us. They abided by the law. They definitely weren't seen by us, but they were still always in control, and I still believe to this day they're in control.
There are plenty of amphibious and marine life that can disguise themselves to look like other things, not only in the water but on land. Humans still think we are the oldest thing that is close to our DNA that it's ever existed. But I mean, dinosaurs existed from us, and I'm sure there were other species that existed around the same age of dinosaurs that have learned how to manipulate the environment to the best of their abilities. Don't know where they came from. Don't know how they do what they do. All I know is there's way too many people that are coming up with the same concepts, coming up with the same connections with the red yarn, and to an extent it makes sense.
What is a skinwalker?
A skinwalker is a shape-shifting demonic entity. It's essentially a Native American witch or warlock that sells their soul in exchange for immortality, the ability to take on the skin or shape-shift, oftentimes in the form of a wolf, a dire wolf, or a werewolf-like creature, but they can also take on the shape of other animals as well. It's a topic that I found the Native American community likes to stay away from. They don't like to discuss it. To even say the name Skinwalker is negative.
We have a lot of people going missing in the same wooded areas that, show up on the map of the cave systems in the United States. And it happens way too often. It's always chalked up to they were killed by the person they were with, or they were attacked by an animal when you can't find any kind of remains or anything. There's a lot of people who don't have an inner monologue in their heads. There's a lot of people who behave in very non-human ways, and we try to mask it with the introduction of drugs into hereditary genetics, stuff like that. There's a lot of people with conditions that you can't explain, but they try to use medical jargon to explain it, and it still doesn't make sense. I'm going to keep talking in monotone until you understand that you need to put two and two together, because I'm not going to spell it out for you. Because if somebody comes to my door trying to start something over me, expressing my opinions, I might turn into something on you.
You'll let us know if there's aliens.
documents. Because if I was president, are there really great secrets that you know that you can't share with people?
Yeah.
Yeah, there are. And you never write about them.
No.
President Clinton told me that if he had seen evidence, he would tell everyone that he'd seen it. Do you feel the same way?
No.
That's 3 former leaders of the free world who've basically all said the same thing. 4D Chess would say they're just playing into the narrative to keep society going in the way that it's going. When people don't know what's what, they're more able to fall in line and to be led versus giving them all the information they need to know the truth about everything and letting them make a decision for themselves. That's one side of it. The other side of it, how come the leaders of the free world can't give you the answers that you want when they were put in position to make all the decisions for said area? The president of the United States should not ever be able to be told what he can and can't say. Am I right or am I wrong? Okay, so how the fuck can you tell me that these people aren't being told what to do or say by someone else, even though we elected them to be the head of the entire population of our area? They have the highest security clearance that's supposed to exist, right? So they're supposed to be able to disclose anything that we want to know as the people who put them in that chair. Anyway, I'm done answering questions with other questions for tonight. We're going to keep diving into all of our suspicions and opinions. Maybe another week from now, maybe a couple days from now. We don't know. Depends on how much I feel like saying, to be honest. Anyway, that's all we got for tonight. Tune in for the next drop. Holla back.